Hi, boys and girls. It's howdy doody time. No, it isn't. It seems like it, the way the Democrats' hair is on fire. They still cannot sit there and come to grips with that they did wrong. They did not communicate with the American people. We learned in this election that celebrities don't matter anymore. The media doesn't matter anymore. I mean, for goodness sakes, they're cleaning house. What's going to happen with Joe and Mika when Comcast spins off MSNBC, sells it off? And ABC, of course, is worried because Disney's kind of regrouping. A lot of that stuff going on. There's introspection. But then in the Democratic Party, there's not a lot of that. Okay? So they're probably doomed for the next quite a few years until they come to grips with it. They got some people talking about it. Fetterman says, stay calm, man. The Republicans got it for the next few years. Chill it. Get over it. He's sounding more and more like a MAGA American there. Instead of, we got a few Democratic MAGAs out there. I remember Clinton used that as his campaign thing, too. Okay? You got to remember that. We got the youngest cabinet in almost a century. The Democratic deep state is scared. They're not scared for Trump. They're scared because these people are competent. He's picking a dream team going in, and it is complete. Right down to the VA sitting there getting back in their gear. Medical. I teach my students, I said, if it's not in the Constitution, it belongs back with the states and the people. Medical and education have always been that way. And in medical, the Congress has said they got referrals on Fauci for perjury and some other things too, and for starting the pandemic with the $100 million, that he sat there and sent to the Wuhan Institute via other means, so his fingerprints wouldn't be on it, but his fingerprints are on it. We got all their emails. Meanwhile, he's laughing while millions died during the pandemic. He's our Mendeleev. Okay. Department of Government Efficiency. Boy, two extremely sharp individuals, businessmen, who know how to cut waste, and they're coupled with the head of the OPM that was just announced. Okay, and he's good. He can help them get around those union problems. Department of Education, it don't belong. Education is the states and the local school boards. That's it. Okay? The federal government shouldn't have anything to do with it. DOD and Homeland, they're all after Pete. Well, he's a war hero, for God's sake. He knows what's going on. He's going to get them back to sitting there war fighting instead of woke fighting. Okay? Let's see what else we got here in the news. Oh, yeah, the sanctuary states are fighting back, sanctuary cities now and stuff. They say they will oppose them. Well, what can they do? If they get their National Guards, their state guards out, or if they get their federal state troopers and say, oppose these guys, they're not going to do that. They're just going to step aside and say, go ahead, guys. All right? Might even do that in the prisons. There might be some prison wardens and stuff like that and say, okay, fine. But I don't think the military is going to be as involved as y'all think it's going to be. Yeah, it has to be involved because we're going to have detention camps set up. They're going to be guards. They can sit there and guard the border. They can seal the border. That's proper for American troops. Okay, and they've done it before. And they freed up the Border Patrol and ICE to sit there and do their job. Sometimes just by having military in there, but to do their paperwork and processing of legal people. He's going to use that tariff system. He's used the third leg of it. Okay, it's to protect our industries, get industries back in. Okay, and also affect our exports, our farm exports, and also as a negotiating tool, like he told Mexico. Hey, I'm going to put a $500 tariff on anything coming over the border unless you put those troops back and we sit there and get the stay in Mexico place back. Okay, that's how he's going to handle it. And embargoes of Iran again. Slap those things on quicker than you can think. That's how they're getting the money. Besides Obama landing plane loads of cash and Biden landing plane loads of cash of their old frozen assets. No. Stop their oil supply. Stop it. And increase ours. I don't know why Biden sat there and refused to sell liquefied natural gas to Europe to sit there and offshoot the stuff that they might have gotten from Putin. Now, in the Ukrainian war, they took Kursk. They're controlling Kursk. That's where the junction of the pipeline going across Ukraine to Europe is. Okay? For Putin to sell oil to Europe. And they were paying a royalty to Ukraine before the war started for the use of that pipeline going all the way through them to Europe. So I wonder how that's going to work out. That's going to hurt Putin, not being able to export that oil through that pipeline in Kursk. But the Ukrainians took that. They got it. That's one of their bargaining chips. Oh, God. The deep state's fighting back. You know they are. They're going to have sanctuary laws. They're going to have lawsuits. And I don't understand why Biden is the only president that's sitting there trying to aggravate things on the border and also in Ukraine and Israel. Okay? Doing the same things he did before and increasing it, doubling down on it, allowing the Ukrainians to use those long-range missiles, which are handled by, our boots on the ground, because we haven't had time to train the Ukrainians yet, and that's what they were there for, to train the Ukrainians. So if they're firing those weapons, it's Americans firing the weapons. Putin's also afraid of that base we got in Poland, missile base we have in Poland, and he's threatening that. Okay? He's threatening NATO. And he says the use of nuclear weapons is not off the table. In fact, they changed their nuclear guidelines to say that missiles fired into Russia is the equivalent of us firing tactical nukes. And they made a shot across the bow to us with that newest hypersonic intermediate range ballistic missile that they launched into Ukraine without the nukes on it. It's capable of carrying a MIRV warhead. Okay, it's one of their newest ones. We're firing some of our newest missiles at them, so why not? They're firing one of their newest ballistic missiles at us just to show us they can. Okay. Trump in this election, man, made so many inroads in the blue states, it's pathetic. New York, he lost that by 5%. And you look at all the counties in California he won. And you look, he took the Rio Grande Valley, which has been blue in Texas. All right, and he's taken a lot of blue areas, not only just the swing states. Now, some of these European leaders say we're already in World War III. I think it's misnumbered. I teach history, and I seem to remember there was a World War before even World War I, and that was during our French and Indian War. That was when the French and English were fighting all over the world, with other allies, too. The Belgians, the Dutch were involved, Germans were involved, the Austrians were involved. So it was fought in Europe, it was fought in North America. They took some land in Central America and South America. They fought in India and in the Far East. Okay? That's how Britain became a worldwide power, where the sun never sets on the English Empire, so to speak. That was their main phrase. So that was really World War I. And it led to our revolution, quite frankly, because they sent 20,000 troops over with no forts, no camps to put them up in, okay? And that started housing them into colonial homes. That was one of the problems that it's one of our, it's in one of the first 10 amendments, of course, of the Constitution, that you can't house troops in civilian homes forcibly. I mean, that cost a lot of money. England was almost bankrupt, and that led to them sitting there trying to tax us. Okay? If you can imagine the cost of sending 20,000 regular troops across a 2-month voyage to the New World, and their fleet and everything else, and having to be supplied, that was expensive. And fighting in India, having to supply them. So that was actually World War I. And then we had World War II in 1914. Then we had World War III, of course, with Hitler. So this one would be 4. Okay? So this is really World War IV coming up. And most historians might agree with me. All right? Putin has warned us. There's many military people and politicians in Europe already saying we're in a world war. In fact, Finland is passing out 5 million pamphlets to their citizens on how to survive a nuclear war, a nuclear attack. Your prayers worked on getting Trump in, folks. Your prayers work on kissing our behinds goodbye, or saving the whole world by saving America. You've saved America. Let's keep those prayer warriors going to save the world so the world doesn't fall into a debacle. It's already getting into quite a mess. I'm, quite frankly, writing my autobiography, all right? Just in case everything else gets blown up, it'll survive on a disc somewhere. Some guy 300 years in the future will sit there and see and hear some of this and wonder, who is that turd? Anyway, I'm not a great man. I was in the military. I was always in the rear with the gear, the beer, and the fear, and the opinions. And I got opinions now just like you do. And all I can say as a retired intelligence guy is we are in deep kimchi. Okay? And Biden's making it worse. I just hope he doesn't make it so bad that Trump can't turn it around. We need some sort of thing in there with when you have a president that's incapable with Alzheimer's and a vice president that's on vacation, okay, during times of crisis, the Congress needs to sit there and be able to act and sit there and say, who's in charge? And put someone in charge if they have to. There has to be an emergency clause somewhere. I think someone's working on it. But meanwhile, our emergency clause is God and prayer. It worked before. I love you all. Take care. And I remain your very humble servant. And let's all survive this. I love you.